So I wanted to talk about. I look a mess. Sorry. Anyway, I wanted to talk about my experience at Western Express. I was at Western Express for like Western Express for like 6 months. When I was in school, they always told me do like your research on the companies and this and the third. So I was already, prepared for the hotel and the sandwiches for lunch and stuff like that and whatever like that. I'm a woman, so I was kind of nervous about having a inappropriate trainer. However, I was at my first. I only had to do 2 weeks of a training, which was like 70 hours or whatever like that. But it was about 2 weeks. But I had ended up getting matched with a woman. However, I ended up having to had two trainers. But the second one was a male. He was brilliant. The woman trainer, she wasn't bad, but she was more focused on money. She wasn't really focused on training me. And then so it was kind of difficult to get a lot of the things that I needed out as far as like the tablet or my tandems and stuff like that. And so um after my 2 weeks, and then I had to she had kicked me out on the road like in like Statesville, North Carolina. So they ended up Western Express ended up giving me an Uber, give me a hotel nearby, and I had to wait for like a day and a half, maybe 2 days for my second trainer. The second trainer, he got me ready for to do the tablet and everything like that. Um, to learn how to do the tablet, do my tandems. Shout out Chris. Very nice guy, you know what I'm saying? And I did everything I had to do on that end. Got routed back to the terminal, got my truck. After I got my truck, I was on the road. I think I sat in the yard for about a day waiting on a load. It was a load on the yard that needed to be, taken wherever. I think it's Clarksville, Tennessee. Did that. I really don't have really a lot of complaints besides my first trainer with Western Express, and then I was obviously I had one DM. He was perfect. I usually stay out 3 to 4 weeks, so anytime I stayed out and I wanted to go home, 3 or 4 weeks, he was just like, all right, we're gonna get you home. I do think that the DMs have to, be, locked in and rubbing elbows with the planners, because those are people that plan the routes and get you where you got to go, not the DM. So a lot of times people take a lot of, um, take a lot of what's the name out on the DMs, like a lot of anger, a lot of what's the name out on the DMs, or whatever the case may be, because oh, why you ain't give me all the whole time it's the planner, you know what I'm saying? So, but my DM, I'm gonna guess my first DM. I'm gonna guess that he rubbing elbows with the planner the right way, the planners the right way, and he always got me home on time. You know what I'm saying? And then because I stayed out 3 or 4 weeks, what I'm saying, I always took like 5 days home. Like usually it's like 4 days, 3 days, but I always took 5 days home. I always just was like, I'm coming home on this day. It was always 5 days out, and he was just like, okay. That then it was like he would get me back on the road after 5 days. It wasn't, oh well, you can't be out, you only stayed out, none of that. And I was just always happy about that. So in my fifth month, I got a new DM. My DM and his wife, she was also a DM, left. Then one of the good planners left as well. So then I got a new DM or whatever. And I could tell he young. He said, and I had to talk to him personally. He said that his dad was a truck driver, so he was gonna be able to. I'm like, all right, get me home. So I, wanted to go home. I had to do like a transfer load the first time. I only been home twice with him. It was like the fourth month going into the fifth, but I only went home twice with him. The first time I always, stress patience in anything. On obviously bumping docks, waiting on people to unload your stuff, your truck. Waiting on the DMs and the planners to get together to get you home and stuff like that. So, but like I said, my first DM, never a problem. Always got me home. It wasn't even about getting me home on time. I knew I was going home with him. I knew that he was going to figure it out, even if he had to put an extra fuel solution on her. It was a lot of times with my DM, I come home with a load that's not getting, dropped off until Monday. So I might be home on Saturday or Sunday, and he's like, yeah, well, Monday you got to drop this load. But he always knew they couldn't put no other, load on me because I was going back home. That's what I like. I prefer that more than I would ever prefer just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, the patience in that is knowing that when you got home, you got a load that you got to take Monday, but that don't mean that your home time ends because you back on the road taking a load. I respect that. I respect that more than I respect, sitting and you trying to get a load that's gonna be right on point and all that extra shit. I don't have time for that. My DM will have me. He know I'm a runner, so he'll always have me. If he had to put an extra fuel solution on shit, it ain't his fuel. Shit, fuck that. So he will always make sure I got home on time when I wanted to go home. No problems. Like Western Express, like with that DM and with that planner, that the planners that we had at the time, it was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And so that's that. My second DM, I had to like always transfer a load and stuff like that. My first one, I had to transfer. I had to wait for a transfer on a load. I wasn't upset about it and nothing like that. It is what it is because it's all about patience and stuff like that at that point. You know what I'm saying? Wait on a guy. I'm like 5, 6 months in, or well, at the time, like 5 months in, maybe 4.5, whatever. The guy really didn't know what he was doing when I transferred the load, but that's just come with you. I can tell he a new guy. You know what I'm saying? So I got the load running, run it all the way home, whatever. That was that. Okay. After that, my second time going home with this new DM, he ended up not being able to get me home. With him and the planner wasn't able to get me home. Um, like I said, I stay out 3 and 4 weeks. I'm ready to go home. Now, under the division I was under, I can request home time every 10 to 12 days. So, not being able to get me home after 3 and 4 weeks is insane. That's 21 days at the minimum. So at the minimum, I feel like I should have been able to get home, even if it was like I said, my DM, like, oh, you went home, but you gotta take your load at this time. It's close by, whatever, maybe an hour, whatever, but you're gonna get home, whatever. I've noticed that at the time they was only sending me to the same spot to get for my at home load. Okay.